In this section, we're going to solve some equations that have fractions in them. These can be pretty weird. So let's work the first one. 2/3 x equals 7/6. Well, the key to solving equations is trying to get your x all by itself. So we want to multiply the left side of the equation by something that everything will cancel so that the only thing is left is the x. So that's going to be our 3/2. Notice that our 3's are going to cancel and our 2's are going to cancel. The only thing left is the x. Then we just multiply the right side of the equation. Again, we could cancel. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So we wind up with 7/4, or 1 3/4. You as a teacher need to decide which way you want your students to write the answer. Now, number 2 is especially weird. 3/4 divided by x is a half. First, let's write it in a way that we can see what we need to do. Okay, so it's a fraction over a fraction. Well, we want to get that x out of the bottom. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. That allows these x's to cancel. So we then wind up with 3/4 equals 1/2 x. So that is very similar to the one we just worked. So now let's finish it. We're going to multiply both sides by 2 so that these 2's will cancel and we have just an x on that side. And we wind up with 3/2. Now 3/2 is either 6/4 or you could cancel here. 2 goes into 4 2 times and we wind up with our regular 3/2. Now if you look at number 3 and 4, this is equations that have lots of fractions in them. So at Spartanburg Community College, this is taught in Math 101 in Chapter 2. That's our beginning algebra course. The trick to doing this is to multiply each side by the common denominator. So if I look at the common denominator for number 3, 6, 3, and 4, what number will 6, 3, and 4 all go into? 12. So I'm going to multiply the left side and the right side by 12. Now I'm going to distribute that 12 into each equation, into the parentheses. Now when I do that, I can then go back through and cancel. The 6 will go into 12 2 times. The 3 goes into 12 4 times. And the 4 goes into 12 3 times. Now notice how yucky that gets. A lot of students really get nervous when they see that much stuff. I talk about this being mathematical magic. We're doing mathematical magic to get rid of fractions. Notice we've canceled everything on the bottom, so we have no more fractions. Whenever you do magic, you know any magic show has a has smoke, or it has a curtain, or has something to disguise what's happening. And then, let's say at a magic show where you're pulling a bunny out of a hat, you've got lots of smoke. Now we've got to pull the bunny out of the hat. So that's what we're doing now. Pulling that bunny out, we've got to make sure we get all the pieces of the bunny. Without all the pieces, you're going to have leftover, you're going to have a rabbit without an ear and lots of blood. So we don't want that. So let's see what we have left over. We have a 2 times a 5. So that's going to give me 10. Then we have 2 times 4 times x. That's going to give me 8x. And then we have 3 times 3, which is going to give me 9. So I wind up with 10 plus 8x equals 9. That is the step that most students miss. They leave something out. They'll leave the x, or they'll leave the 4, something out. So now, from here on out, we just solve it. We've got our letters on one side. Let's get the numbers on the other side. So we have 8x is -1, and then just divide by 8. So my final answer is x equals -1/8. Let's do one more. What is the common denominator for 3, 2, and 5? Well, that would be 30. You could also use 60. You don't have to use 30, but 30 will make it a little bit easier. The numbers won't be quite so big. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to cancel. 3 goes into 30 10 times. 3 goes into 30 15 times. And, let's see, I forgot, I need to show you that we need to distribute. That's what I was forgetting. We need to distribute that 30 across each of the parentheses. Now we'll go back through and cancel. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to take 5 into this 30 6 times, and 2 into that 30 15 times. So I'm left with 10 times 2 and an x, which is 20x, 1 and 15 and a negative, so that's negative 15, 6 and x, so that's 6x, and 15 and a plus, so that should be a plus 15. And then from here, we just solve the equation. I'm going to move all my letters to the left, and then all my numbers to the right. And then finally, we'll just divide by 14 on both sides and get our final answer of 15 sevenths, or 2 1/7.